I'm Scott Purcell, Blackland Prairie Bees. Going to do a routine inspection of this colony. Make sure they're Queenright. I believe I previously established that, but it's always good to check on them. I did borrow a queen from one of my other hives when this one was queenless in early spring. And now we're getting to the point where I'm hoping that I'll find this colony in a state where they're going to be, where I can use them to raise some other queens for some hives where I've got problems with too much aggression. So just doing an inspection, and what we do after that we'll decide after we see what these girls are doing, what they have. So I've been giving them a little bit of smoke for a few minutes. Hopefully it's drifted through the hive. All right, let's take a look. So in this Layens hive, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 frames currently. It can accommodate up to 20. So frame 14. It is got nectar in a lot of cells, a little bit of residual honey from last season. A lot of nectar, a little bit of double layer action going. I see a couple of queen cups not filled, so nothing to worry about there. Just to check for how vigorous the flow is, I'm not seeing any nectar drop out of this without forcing the issue a little bit. So while we should have a good harvest going on, we may not be in what we would call the flow yet, although we should be getting close. A little more smoke. Hearing lots of agitation. We've got some really soft and stringy propolis between the frames. I'm going to try to collect some of that. Propolis has a number of health benefits. It is itself antimicrobial and can be, I believe I've heard of people consuming it directly. What I've used it for is a throat spray, which has worked really well. All right, I don't want to waste a lot of time with that. My job is not to harvest propolis, although it's not an unworthy endeavor. That's not the sole purpose here, so I'm going to move along. So, frame 13, let's take a look at that now that I cleaned it off a little bit. I see lots of glints of nectar, and on one side I've got lots of bee bread. I don't see any larvae nor any eggs. I do see one small hive beetle. I was trying to knock him off so that I could smash him, but he went to ground. Okay. One small hive beetle is not bad for this hive. Oh, that reminds me. I have a small hive beetle trap that I'm going to deploy here. I took out one that uses diatomaceous earth, and I'm going to replace it with one that uses an enclosed sponge. Get these from RPB Works, Robert Peebles. Shout out to him and all my other Texas-friendly beekeeper friends. All right, 14, 13, this must be 12. Frame 12, it feels pretty light. Smattering of old honey, a smattering of nectar, but nothing real heavy here. So they still have plenty of places where they can store incoming nectar. They're at no risk of being honey bound. Big patch of old honey. No signs of brood or eggs or... Okay. So we've got a lot of partially consumed resource frames right now. All right, 14, 13, 12, 11. Oh, wait, is that right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, so this is 10. Frame 10. Looks like the same situation. Some capped honey. Some capped honey. Doesn't look like much fresh nectar, nor anything else. So right now I have 5 partial resource frames. I do have a little bit of nectar that fell out of one of those. So we're getting to nectar that is a little more liquid. This one has quite a lot of nectar in it, and let me get the angle of the light right. Nope. I thought I was seeing brood, but it's just the way the light plays on the bottom. So once again, uncapped nectar and some capped honey remnants. So we have 6 partial honey frames. So this is 8. Very light. They've got this one just about dried out. This might be a new frame that I just gave them last time, or not completely new, but new from somewhere else. I see they're putting some pollen in on one side, which leads me to think the next frame is going to be brood. Now, if it is, because this one I only see a little bit of pollen there, I don't see a lot. The next frame is brood. I'm going to go back and get the one that had the substantial amount of bee bread and put it here adjacent to the brood. Nope, this is more nectar. This one's pretty heavy with it. This is the frame they're currently stashing stuff in. Got relatively fresh pollen, relatively fresh nectar. I don't see any old reserves, so it looks like this is where they are storing it. And that tells me that this next one is probably the one before, it's probably the next place that they're storing it. So I'm just going to put it back, and we'll just let them keep going that way. Okay, frame 6. Frame 6 was a honey frame last year. It has at some point had some soft comb. It stretched and warped a little bit. Probably was near comb collapse. They're putting some pollen and some nectar in it. They're not as far along, strangely, as they were on that last one. I guess maybe they didn't like the comb as much. But we will, or it could be, and I think it was, that I added these to make sure the queen had room to lay. Boy, that smoker is sure putting it out now. I don't think I want it blowing back on in my face like it was for a minute there. Okay, so frame 5. Now this one is also a fairly new frame. Where's my brood? Where's my queen? There we go. There we go. All right, so this one is almost entirely, well, not almost entirely. It's like 3/4 of a frame of brood and eggs. So I'm not taking the time to look for the queen carefully, but she's here. That's going to be a nice sheet of brood once it's all capped over. Let's look at frame 4. That was 5. All right, there we go. Got some nice brood, drones and workers and eggs. There we go, another nice frame. And it may look to the camera patchy, but that's just because she probably had honey in one area. She laid up the rest of the frame. They started hatching, and by now she was able to lay there. And so every spot that looks patchy actually has eggs or larvae in it. So it's a space management issue, not a poor queen. That's 2 strong frames of brood in various stages. Now we're going to look at frame 3. And I like the temperament. By now, there should have been enough, I believe, enough generations of bees from the queen that I brought in that if they were going to be aggressive, they would be by now. All right, so this is just about a full frame of capped brood on both sides. So very soon, population boom is coming, because rule of thumb is that 1 frame of brood hatches out to be 3 frames of bees, because the adult bees take up more space on the face of a comb than the brood does in the cells of a comb. Okay. This one is likewise, a lot of the brood has hatched out. A lot of it is laid up again on both sides. So 3, and I can see already I don't need to pull that last one out. Sometimes you can do more damage with the one that's all the way against the wall than the ones that are against other frames. So I'm going to leave that one in place. It's brood too. So we have almost 4 full frames of brood in various stages of development. So within the next 3 weeks, this hive is going to be busting at the seams, laying up honey, but like nobody's business. And I should be able to come in very soon and raise some other queens from this colony. That's my goal. So now I'm just going to be moving everything back, keeping the order of the frames the same. Give them a little smoke to get them out of the all right. No concerns with this hive. I usually don't have, and the only time I've had a problem is when they went queenless. And honestly, if we got to the bottom of that little thing, it probably was some dumb stunt that I pulled. I'm on a Facebook group that I like a lot, but one of their things is they really don't like people who seem to be braggadocious. I'm never trying to be braggadocious, but if they ask about people's experience and how your hives did over winter and do you have problems with varroa, I have to tell them honestly, not that I don't have problems, but I don't have problems with winter so far, God willing, and I don't have problems with varroa so far, God willing. Most of the problems I have with my hives are my own choices, my own mistakes, or the inevitabilities of genetics and my location in Central Texas. I will have a couple of videos talking about the two problems I'm fighting ferociously this year. One is Africanized colonies, and the other one is, or it's not a problem I'm fighting so much as trying to learn to deal with, is honey from Snow-on-the-Prairie. And I'll have dedicated videos about those. Tune in if you want more information about that. All right. Put my little small hive beetle trap in place. We now are ready to close this up. Here we go. And I love the demeanor of these girls. I close the lid and they're no longer even concerned about me. So I worked with these girls, or with my docile bees of European stock for most of a year, and I didn't even suit up. I didn't wear gloves much of the time. Sometimes I did wear gloves and not a veil. Sometimes I didn't wear either. Sometimes I wore both, but no suit. It wasn't until I encountered the reality of Africanized bees here in Texas that I decided I'm suiting up every single time I approach a hive. If it doesn't need it and I feel like I can take stuff off, then I may do that, particularly if it's hot. But I'm always going to approach with caution, because you never know what's changed within a hive. Africanized bees have this reputation for actually being able to subvert a colony. They'll swarm, and like with this hive, they might form a cluster below the hive, and that allows their pheromones to start to become familiar to the bees as they go in and out nearby. And then they'll send, once there's a little bit of familiarity, they'll send some workers in to be accepted by the local hive. And then once there's a level of acceptance of their pheromones, they'll go in on a murderous assassination hunt and go take out the queen and move in. And I think I've had some hives change their demeanor that way. But apart from that, you could also have them try to make a new queen. The new queen goes out on a mating flight, finds an Africanized drone or 20 of them, and comes back and starts spitting out the really aggressive bees. So, in light of all that, I assume that even my trusted hives are Africanized until I get my hands in them and see how they're responding. That I think would be my advice to any Texas beekeeper. All right, enough rambling. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and click notifications, and we'll catch you later. All right, Scott Purcell here with Blackland Prairie Bees. This is at my second hive in Hutto. This one, I had to borrow the queen from here. Let's see if I took the queen on March 22nd, and we're now first week of May. So we should have a good queen now. It's probably too early for me to tell the temperament of her offspring. although it won't be too much longer and I'll start to get an inkling for that. So what I'm looking for here, and it's kind of late in the day for an inspection. Sun is about right there. It's right at 6 o'clock here in Central Texas. Um, so I don't know if their temperament might be affected by more of them having come home for the evening. We still have a little bit of daylight to work with, and they're well smoked. So let's just dive in. Now here we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 frames. And I have, as before, a new trap for hive beetles. And I did note the appearance of some wax moth damage, annoyingly, under the previous traps for hive beetles. So that's no good. Got a piece of comb to take and melt down that I left there for them to rob out. They have done so, so I will take it away. Just do a little cleanup here at the end, make sure I'm not leaving hive beetle residue here. I have had troubles with this colony and hive beetles, probably, or not hive beetles. I think several times I was saying hive beetles and I'm meaning wax moth. I think the shade contributes to that. They are in a heavily forested area, but we'll see. All right. Now with that little bit of cleanup done, we can start taking apart the hive. So what did I say, 11? Yes, 11. So frame 11 was one I recently gave them. They've done some to repair it. This was one that was taken, and I see at least one hive beetle. Nope, more than that. So I'll be glad that I put a trap in there for them. There's another. I think that one got to ground too soon. All right, but other than that, they've done some cleanup on that one, but not a lot else. All right, frame 10. Had a header of some waxed foundation, and they've not really done anything with that yet. Frame 9. Now keep in mind, they would have had a brood break because I took their queen away for a while. All right, don't see a lot of work done on this frame. The next one is also waxed plastic comb. They haven't done much with that. The next one appears to be lots of honey. Just about a full frame of honey and some bee bread. About the same state on both sides. It's heavy with food resources for them. Frame 6. Here I'm seeing nectar and some bee bread. Lots of excited activity. Boy, I hope they're Queenright. There we go. Now we've got brood. All right, so they are Queenright. Frame 5. Look at that. Full left side, part of the right, solid sheet of brood. And if we look at the back side, mirror image. Boy, they are jittery though. But at least so far, they're not aggressive. You'll notice there's not very many of them flying, and they're not really paying very much attention to me. Certainly not out to kill me. All right, frame 4. Third nice sheet of brood. Okay, looking good. I don't see sick bees. I don't see sick brood. That comb is a little bit soft. It'll firm up as we go along. All right, what did we say we had? Was it 3 frames of brood? Let me just draw a little separation here and make sure that I keep track of what's where. Nope, just 2. All right, 2 nice frames of brood. All right, frame 3. Okay, more brood, but unfortunately, a big chunk of it is this misaligned section. I'm going to tear that off. I'm going to set it down here in the end, and if any of those bees hatch from it, so be it. Glad for that, but I really don't want them using that comb again. All right, we've got lots of brood near emerging, and the empty cells are being relayed as fast as she can get to them. All right, so that's 3 frames of brood. There we go. We've got lots of brood, and what's not capped is either holding food or it's uncapped brood. And same thing on the mirror side. I'm not taking a lot of time to look for the queen. Didn't see her, but wasn't really looking. Now this one is leaning a little bit, so I'm going to reverse it so that hopefully they'll anchor the comb to the dowel in the middle and keep it straight for me. All right, and another nice frame of brood. Really good. Really, really good. Both sides. And lots and lots and lots of pollen. They are ready to feed babies. Okay, that's all I really need to see. And from the temperament that I notice, we're getting more flight now because I went all the way through their brood nest. But I'm not seeing that aggressive attack mode. And so this is another candidate. Well, no, it's still too early to make that decision. I'm hoping that this will remain a good candidate for future queen rearing, but much of that will depend on how the queen was mated. All right, we're going to put these back together using some care. So here I've seen quite a lot of nectar that has fallen out of the cells onto the frames. That tells me, and this hive is right outside a large pasture of wildflowers, and they are fully in bloom with some of the best flowers for Texas honey flow. That is the Indian blanket flower. And so this may be entering into the real period of the flow for these bees in this location. Won't necessarily be true everywhere in Texas, but seems to be here. All right, put that little patch of comb back in there. Now did I? Oh, and I've got the other beetle trap. Now I should probably show you a little bit about this. Once again, this is designed and 3D printed by Robert Peebles, RPB Works. And these are little sponges. They act very similarly to the Swiffer sheets that you may have heard about. Lots of beekeepers will cut up a Swiffer sheet and drop a few of them around. The problem with the Swiffer sheet is that beetles get their feet caught in it, but so do bees. And so the way this works is you put the Swiffer sheet, well, it's not a Swiffer sheet, but it's a sponge that's inexpensively available from Amazon. You put that in the box, slide the lid shut, and the only access that the beetles can get through these little holes, and the bees can't chase them in, but once they're in there, the beetles get trapped. Their legs are stuck in the fabric, and they can't get back out, and the bees can't get in. So all you do is next inspection, I'll come with another sheet, and there I'll bring this out, discard it, put a new one in, catch more beetles. All right, so there we go. We'll say a good night to this colony. Good night, ladies. And I'm glad that I looked down. I have a little cloth that I use for keeping my glasses clean, and it was laying in the dirt. All right, now they are a little more hyped up than the ones at the garden were. They're still following me once the box is closed, but honestly, to follow me after the box is closed is not uncommon nor abnormal, so I'm not too worried about this. We'll see if they follow me to the truck, if they try to get in the truck with me. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. And watch for my forthcoming video about Africanized colonies and another one about Snow-on-the-Prairie honey.